To our August meeting of Harwich Golf Committee. And just a brief announcement, I just went down to the town administrator's office, and I'm pleased to announce they've filled our vacancies. A gentleman by the name of Steve Bellata was vetted and approved by the selectmen to replace one of our two seats, and also Mr. Jack Conley. I believe it's Jack Conley.
It is.
Jack.
John Conley, 5 Grassy Pond.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So,
That's good.
he has a relationship with us. I think he'll represent
Great addition.
everyone's interests very well. So, as far as other announcements are concerned, I think everybody read that. So Roman's going to touch on some of possibly our contract negotiations, long-range and strategic plan possibilities as well. And that brings us to the consent agenda. So approval of those July minutes that I sent a couple of days ago. Motion to approve? Okay, second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, the core of the meeting, obviously, is going to involve Roman, so it's nice to see him again, and also our friend Mike.
He's been on vacation.
No, he's been busy. The rumor is he's been working on the roof of the building.
Which is there, it's coming. Okay.
Okay.
I'll get started with what's been happening in Cranberry Valley. I'll start with our junior league, because we've been hyping that up all summer. The junior league came to a conclusion. This is a picture of the Harwich Port Rough Riders and their coach Kevin and Bruce accepting the brand new trophy we just purchased this year, the Harwich Cup, which will go to the golf course that wins the junior league championship. This year, for the second year in a row, Harwich Port beat our Cranberry Valley team. So you'll see that trophy proudly displayed at the Harwich Port Golf Course for the next year. I'm showing some of these items that happened on as they appeared in the social media too, to show that we're getting a lot of traction from promotion of these events as well.
That's great.
We hosted the PGA Junior League 16 and under New England Championship, which kind of came together last minute. That's the new version of the Junior League, the older kids, and we were very proud to host it. Once again, I've posted a couple pictures on here of social media's recognition of the event. 6 teams from over New England that were champions of their league, all-star teams, came down to Cranberry Valley and played for the championship, and one of the Cape teams that involved a Cranberry Valley member tied for the win, so tied for the championship.
Now, the individual and team?
Strictly team.
Strictly team, okay.
We have had our club championships. Here's a picture of Flora Gaudet receiving the ladies club championship. Mark Leclerc won the men's. That just occurred last weekend.
Which tees was that?
Flora played the red, and Mark Leclerc played the blues.
How about the whites?
White tee, I believe, was Mike Chapman for the men. These are the overall champions, though, were Mark Leclerc and Flora Gaudet. Getting into some numbers, we've been crunching our numbers to really show how, it's hard to read on the board there, but I'll go over the basics for you. Looking at the play breakdown between May through July, really looking at our total numbers and the percentage of member rounds. And I wanted to show this how well represented the members are in our total rounds. 64.6% of all summer rounds were played by members, including especially highlighting the Wednesdays, where we've had a big commitment to the men's sweeps, really accommodating all members who want to play there. Just spot checking the last few Wednesdays, 82% of the tee times on Wednesday was members. The previous one, 78% were members. The previous Wednesday, 82% were members. So the members are really getting well represented in their leagues. We've made a commitment to accommodate all members that sign up for league play.
What kind of increase would that be, Roman, over last year, perhaps?
Yeah, it's always been in the 60s. It's always been kind of 60-40. But I think as we get into the financial breakdown, I think we're doing a better job managing the tee sheet, where we actually increased in membership, increased in greens fees, and increased in member play. So, I mean, it's a kind of win across the board. At some point, it's a lot of people trying to play one golf course, but we're managing it efficiently enough that the members are playing more rounds, but the greens fees are still up, which is a good combination.
That's May through when?
May through July.
Roman, can you explain the 3 columns to me?
Yep, so, yeah, I'm sorry, they don't have a header on them. So, the column on the left is total play for the day. The column in the middle is, member rounds. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong on that. Column on the left is member rounds, column on the right is, public rounds, and the column, let me start one more time. The column with the numbers on the left is member rounds. To the right of that is guest rounds. To the right of that is total rounds for the day. And then the percent of how many were member rounds.
Just one comment to that, Roman, if I could.
Yeah.
And that is, I think it's important that we make as many members aware of these numbers as possible.
Mhm.
Because I'm still getting the grumbling, I can't get on the golf course.
Sure.
I get them, and not all the time, but occasionally I get that. And this sort of,
We've got a plan in place for, to really get the word out for membership for next year, to let members know well, they're gonna receive a better percent of the tee times. A lot of our systems that are designed to let the members out and get the unsold tee times, we've kind of decided they're going to a select few people that really know the system inside and out, because we're seeing the same golfers that carry a lot of points playing every day because they're really good at scooping up those unsold membership, non-member times at 6 o'clock the night before. And I think a percent of the members aren't really playing that game, and they're unfairly losing out on tee times. So we're going to look to maybe release those tee times a little earlier so that they're released according to the points and according to the priority system. So we'll see. We've got some announcements to make in the off season when we do a better job analyzing the data from this year. But plans are in place to really hype that up. The more members are playing than ever before, and greens fees are up. That's the ultimate combination.
Just because it kind of dovetails, Martha, because you weren't here, but Martha brought up an issue that, at the last meeting,
Yeah,
Well,
I've resolved it.
you've got it resolved?
Yeah.
Good, good. Well, thank you.
and one further question, maybe you're gonna talk about it later, but next year you're working on the notion of expanding the slots for the sweeps on Wednesdays for the
Yeah.
men's sweeps?
Yeah, I mean, once again, we'll wait till the end of the year to do our final year, to tally up the numbers and really do a good conclusion on what worked and what didn't. I think it's fair to say what we're aiming for is a 4-hour block of tee times on Wednesdays to accommodate all sweeps players in that one block, so that it doesn't go on beyond. I know the additional tee times have been the problem. Bob Klein has worked so hard on that one little small group of tee times, and we met with him and Jack Conley to discuss what would be the best alternative, and really accommodating everybody that signs up in that one 4-hour block, which should accommodate everybody, would be better on our side because we'd get the event done and wrapped up earlier. Everybody be able to play in a predictable space of time, and it wouldn't flow on all day, you know. So you wouldn't end up with the frustration of I got bounced to the later block. So we are planning on accommodating all together.
Thanks, Roman.
You're welcome. Okay, I thought those were interesting numbers. Let's see. So I wanted to do a little quick spotlight on one of the new marketing tools we're using, which is YouTube. This is the plan is to reach a new audience with this. This is a younger audience. So we had, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it to play. It's a new trick I'm trying to learn, which is embedding a video into this. We'll see momentarily. But we worked with Cape Cod Media Group to create our YouTube channel and have some videos created of the drive, chip, and putt event. They came out great. So I'll show you some of the places where they are viewable. But just on our YouTube channel alone, one of these videos right here has 2.7 thousand views. Another one has 1.5 thousand views. So they're being viewed on YouTube alone. And then I'll show you all other places where they're being viewed. And they're great videos.
So,
Let's see if this plays.
so for us, Roman,
Yeah.
or, you know, the members at Cranberry Valley and so on, all they have to do is go to youtube.com and then
Yes, and
do a
search Cranberry
Boolean
Valley
search
in our
Cranberry
channel.
Valley?
Well,
Yeah.
And chances are you're going to run into these elsewhere. This was working on my computer at my office, and for some reason I can't get this to play. I'll see after the meeting if I can play some of these, because I think you guys will find the quality of these videos is pretty high.
Where's your cursor?
Right over the play button. Okay, I won't waste everybody's time here. I had 2 of these videos queued up to play. Let me try it again.
It's easy to understand. It's not an apple.
All right, I'll play some of these after the PowerPoint presentation so you get a good sense of them. But just so you can see, And one place you'll run into these videos is this is a screenshot of a phone with Facebook, and you know, a lot of the Facebook between your news feed, you find ads, and this will say it's a sponsored ad from Cranberry Valley. This is one of the videos that was created in the Drive, Chip, and Putt. It has just a little tagline that our marketing team put together to trying to promote fall golf. It's got a learn more button that leads them right to our website. And this video right here was viewed by 6.3 thousand viewers. So
Wow.
it's getting a lot of reach on devices we
Yeah,
all use.
Yeah,
And so you don't need to pick up the magazine, or that's coming right to your phone.
that's super progressive. So who's involved in this team?
So we were working with the Cape Cod Media Group to create this. It's one of our marketing partners. They do our direct emails in the spring with our marketing, with our membership drive.
That is
But
great.
really good. I think we're the only ones locally doing this.
Great targeting.
And it's going to reach another audience. That's our goal, is to reach a new audience with these. They're designed specifically to show the fun, kids, family golf. Okay, moving on. So here's something I was going to ask the committee for help with. The golf instruction license with Miller Golf is up at the end of this year. The contract has a 2-year option available at the town's discretion.
Right.
And I discussed this with the town administrator. I'm all for continuing the relationship. It's been very beneficial. I've got a few slides to show how beneficial it's been. But the town administrator can, with a recommendation from me alone, can sign this extension years. I thought it'd be nicer to show a little solidarity and maybe get a vote from the golf committee that once I present the information, if you could have a vote to support the extension of the contract.
Absolutely. I mean, that resonates with me. I think, you know, the facts more or less have demonstrated the success of this program. But for the sake of the committee, would it be okay to, you know, because I didn't anticipate the vote, to, you know, do that as our September meeting? Or would that be timely enough? You'd like
It's
it-
up to you. I'd rather
like
do
it-
it sooner than later. Bob
Okay.
Miller is trying to make plans. He actually instigated this. But
Okay.
you tell me, whatever you'd like to do. I can write the
Tom?
letter without the committee.
Hey, could you give us just a thumbnail about
Yep.
why you're very excited about that?
Yeah, let me get into that. I've got a few slides here. I'll give you some facts. So this right here is a snapshot of Bob Miller's website. Every year that he's been at Cranberry Valley, he's gotten a much better web presence and a much better marketing presence. He's really done a great job with that. He's done a great job working with our team to tell us what we're doing. So his first year in maybe was a little awkward. I got a little feedback that members weren't exactly sure how to get in touch with him. Our staff
Right.
maybe wasn't the best at connecting them with him and considering him one of our team. So we were promoting him well enough. Over the 3-year relationship, we've gotten really seamless in promoting him, and he's viewed as our teaching pro and our teaching pros team. So his website and online presence, as well as the presence of the golf course, has improved. Here's the facts of the license he has. I don't know if you remember, but with the way that we designed this, it goes up in fee every 5% every year. So it doesn't show the 5th year here because it got cut off. The 5th year is at $6,000 and change, a couple dollars. I'll read this out loud. The term of the license is 3 years with the option of 1 2-year extension commencing on May 1st, 2016 and expiring October 31st, 2018. The town shall have the option to be exercised at the town's sole discretion to extend the license for an additional 2-year period. This consideration for this license shall be for the period May 1st to October 31st of the calendar year for the total fees as follows. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I remember when he came in, and the previous process was very weak on data. And
Yes.
I'm wondering, since this is the last year of the contract, and we'll be looking at it again then next year, could you do some kind of a customer index to give us some examples of why
Sure.
it's been so good for people?
I could go into some data that, you know, he's rated very highly in our annual customer service survey that we do. Rates always between our 2 top numbers, good and excellent, in
That's
golf
awesome.
instruction offerings. I'll show the financial impact on the next slide here. This shows the 4 fiscal years. The first one it shows is before we entered into a license agreement with Bob. You'll see the revenues increasing on range memberships, driving range in general, and lesson revenue each year.
No, I'd make a motion that we support what Roman is suggesting. The money looks terrific,
It's,
and I've heard, you know, anecdotally from people And obviously, he's been part of the golf experience,
Yeah.
and I think it's very positive. So I'd make a motion that we accept this.
I agree with everything you're saying, Tom. I think he's the best option out there. He's one of the best teaching pros on the Cape, and the relationship we've developed is really would be difficult to develop with somebody fresh and new.
Is that his lesson revenue?
That's the golf operations lesson revenue that counts his counting his lease payment. And we also, I don't know if you remember, John, we also added to that where the golf course receives 25% of his net sales of equipment that he's selling. So that's why that number keeps going up. The demo days.
I think that's impressive.
Is he pleased with what's going on here?
He is. I brought a letter along that I read to the committee at the end of last year. Each year he gives me a wrap-up letter. He's very happy. When he reached out to me, he was interested in either scrapping this one, starting a whole new 5-year deal. He'd like to commit long-term. I spoke with the town administrator, and he said he'd prefer to do the 2 extension years first.
As it exists. John, question or second?
I'm on the second motion.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. Wheeler. Any discussion?
I just think it's good
John?
to have a teaching pro like that associated with the course.
No doubt.
I mean, he's got a good reputation, and I think anytime you do that, it's good for the golf course.
He's got, and it's not just that, he's got a team now, 2 lady pros, his wife, and then another lady pro as well.
Yeah.
He's got a number of other pros under him that are specialize in certain segments.
And just to comment myself personally, I think it's great to have this kind of instructional component in place because it's not at the expense of either the director or key personnel that have to be available for members and guests. And this way, it's all taken care of.
When we entered into this agreement, one of the things was, I felt like it was very daunting it was right when I was first taking on this new job, and I thought it'd be daunting to run a golf instruction program and run the golf course at the same time. It turns out that I had no idea that there'd be enough lesson business to keep 6 pros on his side busy. And he has 6 pros on his team, so they have a real presence. And I just picked out a couple line items here, range membership and range, but that impacts all of our lines, from the restaurant on down to greens fees, on down to memberships. His presence impacts all that.
Martha, comment? Tom?
Any way of having him in the next contract do something for the kids that we're trying to develop to play golf, the golf teams, and also, he may do it already, you just have no knowledge of it.
Yeah, I think he's already involved in that, not necessarily with the Monomoy teams. We can see about his involvement with the Monomoy teams, but he's got a good junior program that assists our PGA Junior League program, yeah.
For us.
Yes.
For us.
He had one of his teaching pros, Tony Day, runs a junior camp all summer that feeds into our junior league.
See, I think that should be in the record somehow so that people understand that this is much more than simply giving lessons. This is developing the capacity for the people who are coming along, the kids. So,
Good point. Good point, Tom. Without further questions, motion for approval? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roman.
Yeah, thank you. I think it'll be powerful going forward that
Yeah.
the support of myself and the committee. All right, now Sean wrote up a quick superintendent's report that I'll break the rules of PowerPoints and read verbatim. Course conditions. Overall, we're in good condition, even though Mother Nature has made it challenging. In the beginning of the season, we were dry. Now, for the last couple of months, we've been very wet and humid, which tends to a host of other problems. I feel as we've turned the corner now and can start to heal back some troublesome areas. Fairways, overseeded areas in the fairways. Tees, aerified and overseeded all tees. Greens, solid tine greens once in July and again in August. Driving range tees been aerated, seeded, and top dressed. Light sand top dress on the greens. The irrigation system continued to work out the problems at the golf course. This is just some of the things that we've done to help maintain the course at the highest level. We'll be preparing for fall work and car path and bunker maintenance. That was kind of quick and easy, but we are in just maintaining the golf course time of year.
Just an objective anecdotal. I was up there Saturday, and I had the pleasure of moving around the majority of the course. I could not believe the condition of the greens. It was spectacular. And as a frame of reference, because Pete Wall's here, not that he's older than I am, but the point is, 15 years ago, August equaled brown fairways, rough brown, no turf around the greens especially that was in really good shape. And people would just accept it. That's the way it was. It's pretty incredible, because I think the weather, the stress on turf in this past month, especially that heat and humidity, has been enormous. And, it's a credit to what is in place there.
Yeah, Sean's got great practices in place, and it has been a challenge, but his practices are up to the challenge.
Does that, because you guys are playing all the time, that was just
I
my
think the
observation.
course is in great shape
Yeah.
for
Yes,
the weather and,
We've had some guests from off Cape who play private courses most of the time.
Yeah.
And this is in the past 2 weeks, and they played the course with me. And they said, I cannot believe the condition this course is in. It's actually in better condition than my course.
wow,
So,
yeah,
great.
I've heard that too.
Well, let me
Tom.
put my HR hat on for a second.
Right.
There's a couple of people that are basically responsible for this. It's you and Sean. And then somehow I'd like to get us develop a letter of thanks and accommodation to go over to the manager to let them know that these guys are doing a very fine job. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I don't know how to
Very
do
good.
it, but think about
Yeah.
how we should do that.
Okay,
you know.
thank you, Tom.
Okay, that's what I had for my report.
Okay, very good.
Okay, we're
Okay.
probably still going with some more slides.
Oh,
No, that was just one,
Yeah.
section.
You can keep the lights on.
Yeah, you can keep them on if
You
you
can
want.
leave
I
them
t-
on.
I told you, we put a lot of burden on Roman here.
I
Uh,
keep the lights on.
You like them better on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave everybody handouts.
Under new business, I asked Roman, consistent with what we discussed at our last meeting, just to give us kind of a financial review and breakdown of things as they've been, moving forward into the season. So, Roman?
So you can refer to your handout here. This is a breakdown of each year from fiscal year 15 through fiscal year 18, which just closed at the end of June. So a couple of the highlights, and I'll help you guys give you a little reference on some of this stuff. FY16 and the current year that just finished, FY18, were banner years weather-wise. So it's going to be hard without raising rates to top those numbers. The golf course is close to capacity because we've just had so few rain days. So if FY16 and 18 really compare closely. FY17, we dealt with a lot of rain, if you remember. And then the greens fees were especially impacted by our change in policy where we stopped taking advanced deposits, and we said that would make itself up in the following year. So you'll see a 10% growth in greens fee revenue. That's more just back to our FY16 level or close to it. That's just pretty much the golf course is close to capacity at that point. Cart revenue was up 3%, and that's once again close to, but not quite reaching the FY16 numbers. Membership, I'll get back to the membership because I know I highlighted a big number in membership. That showed down 3%. I'll get to why that is on the next slide. Some of this stuff is kind of nice. The non-resident members, really with our preseason promotional on membership, we targeted the non-resident members specifically with that direct email campaign and our online campaign. That came back by having the non-resident membership up $10,000 or 3%. So that was nice to see. One of our marketing campaigns really came through there. Driving range once again up, and that's a high water mark for the driving range of 71,000, exceeding the banner year FY16 by $5,000. If you look at the range member numbers too from FY15 and on, that number is growing significantly. I remember in my first year thinking, why don't we have any more range members? We really need to promote that. We tackled that by lowering the range membership fee, and that's really coming through strong. A 25% raise in range memberships in 1 year is huge.
That is very significant. I think people are realizing, Cape-wide, at least in this area, that this is the place to go.
Anybody that's been to the
practice.
golf course, the driving range is always busy. I mean,
Yep.
it's really a money
Oh,
source.
but it's also, is there any other course that has the 3 holes, the chipping holes?
We have probably one of the, there are some that have them. We have probably the best setup though of our
Well, that's
competition.
my point.
Yeah.
People have told me that they like to come over here and they just like to, manage their game and they can go and they putt and Chip?
You know, our short game area, and we did a good job, I think. One of the reasons we've gotten some good successes, there used to be really strict rules on that you had to buy a strap for your bag that would said you paid for access to the short game range. We've just opened it up like a park now. Anybody that wants to go out there can go out there and practice, and it's shown, the numbers are growing.
Yeah.
More people want to be members of the range and use the range than ever. The bottom line there is a red number of miscellaneous, and that's just because you can see in FY15 there was a lot of money in that number, and we're trying to get those dollars into their appropriate line items. So that's a number we want to go down to zero, basically, so that all the money's going appropriately where it's supposed to.
It's a good year.
Yeah, very good year, strong. I mean, it was a strong year all around.
Do we have the final munis report yet?
Yes. Well, we have where it currently stands, yes. I haven't gotten a final stamp on it, but I think at this point it is.
Oh, because that would give us all the costs associated with our operation as well.
Yes.
I was just curious what that looked like.
Okay, what the costs, operating
Yeah,
costs?
because I'm just curious in terms of what we return to the town.
Okay. I'll give you a little snapshot into that on the next slide here. Like I said, I promoted that in the PowerPoint last month that our membership numbers were up almost $100,000, and then it shows a red on that spreadsheet I just showed you. This is kind of a breakdown that shows what happens with that money, and that's the number that I showed you was the gross number of $888,000 that was taken in as under the membership umbrella. Money gets subtracted from that for USGA handicap, that goes into the revolving fund. We've got money for the first time being taken out of the revitalization fund. And then the non-resident capital fee, the capital fee for both residents and non-residents were taken out. That number at the end of the day showed a slight increase over last year. I think the number, you've got the number there is about, what does it say for membership, 690?
690.
Yeah, 690.
690.
Our actual number is about 723, and the reason I say there's a difference there is Carol in her accounting wanted to show the liability that we have for the credit books currently out to the members and the gift certificates currently out. So she used the membership line to take away the liability there.
So
You have that much in gift certificates?
Yeah, credit book and gift certificates we do.
Wow.
Roman, so in other words, is this saying it cost us, we invested $888,097 to generate $1.8 million? Am I correct?
No, that's so the 888 was taken in is in membership checks. That's what was taken in for membership checks. That's split up to USGA, the revitalization fund, the golf improvement fund, and so at the end of the day, that number came out to $690,000 going into the membership line.
Which is an accurate number then,
Yes.
Yeah.
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 because you do have to take those out.
Yeah. So I just wanted to explain to you guys the number you got last month was the gross number.
Right.
And so the gross number showed almost $100,000 increase over last year. The net number, not so much, but so that money's all getting into our funds.
Now, would they also take out the golf improvement budget?
Yep, so that's the very first line there, the resident capital fee and the non-resident capital fee. So this, in FY18, 79,000 was generated in the golf improvement fund.
Okay.
And then 20,000 for our revitalization fund out of membership.
And that is the Cot Barn
Our
project?
barn debt for those. And those debt payments are right on schedule. We're earning exactly what we forecasted to pay for that debt in full.
Excellent.
So Roman, I just want to make sure I understand this.
Yep.
And Eunice, I assume, can give us this, and that is, what did it cost us to generate $1.856 million?
Yeah, sure, our operating costs. Yeah, I didn't present that today, but yeah, we can do a munis report of our operating costs.
Can you give me a ballpark figure what that is?
Yeah, I mean, in general, in general terms, our average is we spend 1.5 to make 1.8. Is kind of what it is. That's kind of a 3-year average, probably close to a 3-year average.
Okay. Does that figure also include the work that's being done at Monomoy Regional High School? Does that exclude?
Yeah, that's part of our budget as well.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So 1.5 for 1.8, thank you.
Yeah, it's close to that. It's very close to that over the 3-year average.
Just trying to get a order of magnitude.
Yeah. And then the 300,000 that's in the middle, or give or take per year, that's our indirect costs. Is what the town considers an indirect cost that comes out to a net zero gain.
Yeah, after they take it to the general fund, right? Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's our indirect cost.
Yeah.
It pays our debt, pays our legal, and pays our tech services and whatever else that's what they would say. They'd have a spreadsheet that would say, here's all the money that you spent, and here's why it came out to zero.
Which is fine,
Yeah.
as long as we have an idea in terms of what we return to the town.
I guess
Okay.
I'll say.
It's not Emerson.
However, no, the other side, I mean, that sticks in my craw. I
Oh,
just-
God, they're talking about that at the selectmen meeting now,
I
too.
think it may be illegal. You know, here's something on the 11%. You said it was a rainy season.
Yes.
That's why. Well, at some point, you know, hopefully in our strategic plan, we're gonna put in
Cart
cart
paths.
paths, permanent cart paths, so that we can send people out on a 90-degree during wet weather. Right now, a lot of these people can't go out there because we don't have cart paths. That's one of the reasons. May have also be how much rain you had and all the rest of it. But it's just that, I think that if you keep that figure, that's $80,000. In other words, I know, we could probably do 5 holes with that, I mean, or 10 holes.
With, like I said before, Tom, the 11% negative in FY17, that a big chunk of that, probably half of that had to do with, we changed our advance payment policy.
We did, okay.
So that had a lot to do with that, so it
All right.
wasn't necessarily just greens fees.
All right, I missed
We
that.
anticipated that number going back up.
Yeah.
We stopped requiring people to pay in January and
Right.
February for their summer tea times.
Right, and John, my point on the Emerson College was that we want to, you know, we talked about in the strategic plan, we want to have continuous cart paths at some point, because most courses have them, and it's good for us. And that becomes an indirect cost for us, is to have a reserve so we can do that. But we can't do it because the town just absorbs all that money.
Right.
And then tells us it's all indirect costs, taking care of other things. That's where the Emerson College case comes in.
I understand.
Well, I think that, I know in reviewing what the other municipalities do, we're in a good position that with our dedicated funds. We've got a good long-range plan with a lot of projects getting done on the golf course. I'm not sure where on our priorities list a continuous car pass would stand. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd champion that to maybe highest priority at this
It's not
point.
a high priority right now, but it's out there.
Yeah.
I think what our plan indicates, though, is we're trying to do it piecemeal in terms of hole by
Yes,
hole.
right.
Yeah,
And significantly,
When we include the 10th hole
Yeah.
eventually, or the 12th hole, I mean, there'll be 2 holes and they have cart paths, I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
basically.
Exactly. It's
and
gonna
even
have
the,
to be
even the
piecemeal.
first hole,
mhm.
you know, the way that's set up. I
Yeah.
mean, it'll have a kind of dramatic impact, I think, because people look out there and they see those from the deck and/or, you know, I mean, they're more highly visible. And our beloved 12th hole to be completed at some point in time? Yeah. Okay. Any other comments?
Good job.
Those are good numbers.
Yeah, that's,
Real good.
we're
numbers.
hitting a ceiling. Like I said, the course is close to capacity.
Yeah.
We've got some opportunity in the spring seasons, but I think that one thing we're doing to protect against the rainy seasons is doing more for the members. That's why, you know, we're giving more times for the sweeps and accommodating the members' leagues in full, is getting our money through membership is much less, fluctuates much less than
Right.
expecting, you know, hoping for good weather and expecting the greens fees.
Yeah.
What's the town's reaction to us generating like 1.8 million every year? I mean, is it,
We've,
do they go,
I don't have any like conclusions to the fiscal year meetings or anything, but when I go into next year's budget, we get through the budget process pretty clean, because I think they know that our revenues exceed our expenses. So we get through, they don't pick on us on our budget or nitpick our budget.
And Pete, capital outlay must be particularly pleased too, in the sense that we're basically financing,
Oh, yes.
you know, our improvements as we go down the road.
And townwide, that's happening.
Yes,
The harbor, you saw the project they just finished.
right,
They paid for most of that out of their fees.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, next item on the agenda. I just thought it'd be nice to include a preview of what would be coming in the fall. There are some notable season-ending activities, and that's why I chose to put it on here.
We'll run this real fast. Put this slide up here to show people, don't put bug spray on when you're on the golf course. That's somebody standing on one of our greens putting bug spray on.
Is
Okay.
that unreal?
Are you kidding me?
No,
No.
On the green?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is just a snapshot of, everybody had this in the spring, I don't think it's changed much, but, this is the September and October calendar. We get really back into busy weekends with the stay and play packages with the hotels, so there's gonna be a lot of that. Our leagues start getting into some of their major tournaments. The ladies are about to have their Solheim Cup, which begins on September 4th. The men are gonna have their Ryder Cup on both September 5th and 11th, 5th and 12th. The ladies are gonna have their member guest on September 11th, and the Red tournament there was canceled. We've got the Retired Men's Club of Cape Cod on the 24th of September. A brand new tournament for the Harwich Hospital Auxiliary is happening October 1st. You'll probably get some promotional materials on that. They're really trying hard to fill that event. Our annual Pals for Life for the restaurant industry happens on October 3rd. The Monomoy Athletic Booster, October 8th. Senior Club Championship, October 13th and 14th. We moved that to a weekend to accommodate more players this year. And the Land Ho charity event on October 15th, although they have a new name, I think. They're not Land Ho anymore. Lanyard, I think. And then on November 1st, the Golf Course Superintendents Association of New England.
Wow. It's going to be busy.
Yeah, it's gonna be,
That's
we had September, we had a really busy season. Right now, I've got to mention, we're saying goodbye to all of our wonderful college and high school employees. They've been fantastic. It becomes a very challenging time of year for the full-time folks and our longer seasonal folks, so.
Roman, what was the total number of those temps or, part-time employees?
It was significant. I wouldn't say exactly a dozen or so, but I mean, the golfers know them, and they've been fantastic. A few of the local high school students are going to stay on and help us out on weekends. But
Terrific.
our future We Met scholar Haley's back in Virginia Tech. Mackenzie, our intern this year, is back in Methodist, and a number of other people. So
They were a great group of
great group. We've had a
young
great group.
people.
Yeah.
Adrian's going to
Very
Amherst.
polite, nice values.
I agree totally.
Energizing,
Yeah,
Well, that's great.
they were trained well.
I think so too.
Okay,
What did you have them doing to, because I know one of your goals is always to improve the customer service angle
Yeah.
of the club. What did you have, like, all these part-timers doing?
Yes, I mean, most of them we actually had a division, but the most personable ones we had right at the pro shop counter. They were great at working the pro shop counter,
Yeah.
booking tea times, doing the pro shop sales. Our intern Mackenzie was our tournament intern, so she ran all our tournaments for us. And then we had a number of people out in the car barn just washing carts and working outside. We've had a good presence at the bag drop, which is one of our
Oh,
big.
that was
Isn't that
excellent.
nice? Yeah, so and in fact, whenever we had a little crossover in the pro shop, we were very good about kicking somebody outside to the bag drop for an hour or two just to be a meter and greeter. I think that goes a long way, having somebody out there helping organize things and just greeting people and pointing people in the right direction.
and that, the young woman, that Haley,
Haley.
I think, wasn't she directly involved with a lot of the social media initiative?
She ran our social media
Yeah.
initiative for the summer, and she became, she was with us for her third year this year. She's become very valuable to Pam. She acts as a Pam assistant
Wow.
in the summer.
That's great. Because I think that's paid Tom a great dividend,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I'm hoping next summer, all our members come back to a plaque on the wall recognizing her as our first We Met scholar.
Oh, wow. Great.
I just want to say thank you for putting a human face on this operation. You've done a nice job, especially with the juniors, bringing in the interns. In the old days, we'd occasionally get people complaining it wasn't treated well or whatever. Never, ever hear that anymore at all.
Thanks, Tom. We have a great team. I mean, we have a great team. I was the first to say it. This was the best team. I think Mike probably agree. Best team that we've had in my time here. It's gotten better each year.
Beautiful. Could we just, before we get into the capital project update, I just wondered if there was anything to share. I just would like to check them off. You mentioned the Bob Miller contract, because we discussed this internally or through the committee. Anything as far as the negotiation with Hot Stove?
No, nothing yet. I've
Nothing yet?
I've got it on the town administrator's radar. We're going to discuss it. And Ron, the reason I haven't pushed it forward yet is Ron is preparing a letter that he wants to go to the town administrator to set
Perfect.
the
Thanks.
negotiations.
Because it,
We take a look at that?
Yeah.
we part of that process? No?
I don't know. I think Ron already presented
Yeah,
to this
I think he
committee.
presented to the committee,
That,
and
that was basically the core of the letter he's
Oh, I see,
preparing.
the one he did present it to
Yeah.
us, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so he's finalizing that. He may actually do a survey to the membership first.
But
And,
the thing that concerns me is that we've gone through several guys that ran that place for, and with various results, and it was a disaster when the septic thing came up, and the woman who was running it just, it was terrible for her. But this is part of the golf experience now here. You know, I went up there Sunday, and I had to wait for a table Sunday morning for breakfast, and that's not unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, this is part of the golf experience here, and I worry that if we don't make an effort to hold him in a way that he is advantageous for him, and he left, I think we'd lose members. You know, because it's part of the golf experience now.
Yeah.
So,
I think the important thing is the experience, especially for the paying public, because they are very supportive of the restaurant operation.
well,
And,
but I think that's, you know, I understand what you're saying, but several people have said to me, "Oh, you mean I could just go up there and eat? I thought it was just for the golfers." So, I mean, you know.
yeah, that's a good point, Tom.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something, well, anyway.
Okay. Another topic we touched on, people at the last meeting too, is in terms of leases. I understood, or I thought Sean was in the process, because I think I asked the question. You weren't here, but, you know, I asked him about equipment and the equipment lease for the mechanical side of the maintenance operation. Anything new on that front?
No, if anything, that's gotten a little confusing. The town-wide is really, I think you guys have probably heard me say this over this year, has a major focus on upgrading the procurement situation. And I had a department head meeting today, and Chris Clark told all the department heads, the reason that we're going through all these pains of changing everything is the town was very weak, and it's been identified as very weak in the procurement department. And so they've put a lot of bulky rules on us that are a little awkward to kind of find our way through. Every situation's unique. So anyway, the procurement for the new lease for the equipment is up in the air at this point. They may actually require that to go to town meeting and us to extend the current lease an extra year.
Well, I think it's incumbent upon us to reinforce the idea that we're running a business. I mean, it shouldn't be predicated on a town calendar that's a blueprint for all departments. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
You know,
They've got the town attorney involved in interpreting the law, so it is really a legal
But
interpretation.
that's a reality here, you know, it's a business, but it's a town operated business, and therefore they have other options, and they have other priorities, I mean, you know, but I agree with you, if we feel that somehow it's impeding our ability to serve our customers,
Yeah.
we'll show up in the money,
well,
you know what I mean?
and that speaks to the point of our fiduciary responsibility to, you know, give these guys the best push we can give them.
Well,
I don't
you know,
think we're-
excuse me,
Go ahead, Tom.
I would argue if you have a priority that's not being met, you come to us, and then we say,
Exactly.
you know, this is,
Exactly.
if you continue to do this to us, this is what's gonna happen.
Okay.
So,
We're not there yet,
Just to
so
help you,
we're seeing our way
help you.
through this right now, but we're seeing
I
our
don't
way
want to
through it.
overreact, I'm just saying that, you know, to put it out to town meeting,
Yeah,
Come on.
That would be a disaster.
you know,
yeah,
Particularly, I would think you'd have to at least show us what the total dollar amount was for our leases, for our operation. It can't be that much per
No.
year, right?
no, we're looking at, off the top of my head, I'd say it's an $80,000 lease for the
And
mowing equipment.
and Sean's been so successful at negotiating those leases, which have
We
benefited
got
us
the money put
enormously.
in the budget last year for this new upgrade for the Tier 4 emissions, which we were required by the state. So we went through all the budgetary stuff to get the money appropriated for it.
Yeah.
But there's a holdup on the actual procurement.
no, I just think that if, you know, I've been in municipal work for about 40 years, and I can remember times when you're doing the budget, the guy leaves the room, we got his budget, and don't tell him. No, the point is that the priorities are very different. But we're running a business, and if there's certain equipment that we need to do what we're supposed to do to make the golf experience good, and that's a problem, I think come to us, and we'll give them a letter, say, you know what, this may end up in our revenue account. People will not play here, you know what I mean? So I think we can have that club.
It's good. I don't think we're there yet, but
Yeah, no,
that's good.
we're not, but if you run into that,
Okay.
you know, please use us.
Because it's so vital, and this is anecdotal again, but Saturday, I don't know who the gentleman was, or maybe it was Friday. I've been up there Friday as well, too. But it made my whole day. I saw a guy with one of those huge fan systems blowing off clippings, John,
Right.
up and down the fairways.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, that's a little thing, but if you go back 3 or 4 years ago, when the USGA, you know, representatives were here, you know, the clippings were abundant, and that's where you get the compression on the turf, especially in the rough, and it kills the grass.
But the problem is so our customers expect it. So if we can't do it, then it's deteriorating, that's my point.
Right.
Yeah, so whatever the equipment is you need, keep us in the loop on
Yeah,
it.
I will. I will.
Good enough.
Like those 2 carts sitting at 16.
Yeah.
Okay, if they're missing one day,
Yeah.
I get asked questions.
I know.
Where are
Well,
those carts?
Day one, it's a good idea. Day two, where the hell are they?
By the way, let's have between 14 and 15. And I said, how are they gonna get back to the start, back to the green?
Well, thank you, I wanted to air that out there. So, under old business, and to Martha's point earlier, it is getting old. The building is still under construction. Any insights, Roman, as far as
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah, well, I can fill you in. So, the building, we were looking at the end of this month having it completed. It's really rolling fast now. They're having some problems with the team that's actually doing the framing of it, so it's gonna be another week or so. It's gonna go like a week into September or so. But, here's a photo right here. They roughed out the cart path that's gonna run behind the building and up into the parking lot. That's a new addition. I got one more photo of that.
And stop right there, because Roman took me down there, and that's pretty exciting stuff. It's an acceptable grade, and the efficiency I think that it's going to create is gonna be terrific. Where when you finish the round, you'll come right up to the barn, through the back door, so to speak.
Is that the town doing that?
No, so that's, the Cardosi's doing that, the contractor.
What about the road from the 18th green to the, is
Yeah.
Cardosi doing that too?
No, the town will do that.
And
They still-
are they gonna do that this fall?
No, we're probably gonna do the paving first thing in the spring.
Are they still within the 120-day window to
No,
complete this?
no, they're not, but, we've extended that to a degree because, of some of the change orders we've done. They've done such good work that a lot of the stuff that we were planning on having the town do has been gone through as change orders, and we've asked them to do the drainage work, other things like that, so they're appropriately close.
Okay?
And the quality work's very good. Here's a picture of the bump out where, when you first walk into the room, or into the barn. And here's a picture from the floor of the barn. It's a nice space. It's gonna work out fantastic.
Yeah.
So where things currently stand, we're working with Eversource currently, because this is gonna be, when it's done and Cardosi is done building it, it's gonna be a shell with no electricity in it. So we've been in talks with Eversource for a couple months now. It's in their design, their engineering teams doing the design of it right now, and they're gonna get us all the quotes from how much it's gonna cost, what the time commitment's gonna be, and when they can do it, to bring the 3-phase up from the pump house.
And the nice thing is that, I would take it for granted, that's within our budget framework that we had outlined initially.
I hope so. We're hoping it is. That's part of the reason it's been so many months. I've let you know, Clem, they came in with some outrageous claims that we had to upgrade every wire on their property, and so there's been a lot of fighting back and forth between it, and I think we're back to what we originally wanted, which is just get us the quote and the design to get the 3-phase from the pump house to the new building, and we have $50,000 budgeted to do that.
And since you took that picture, I thought I saw some of the roofing materials.
Yeah,
Actually
it's up
being-
there. This is a
Yeah.
few days old, yeah.
Thank you, Martha.
So the roof's on now too?
They're working on it currently. They've got it partially up.
I think they've got about a third done, maybe?
Yeah, they were working on it today.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
storming towards completion.
So Roman, let's say that the negotiations with Eversource break down?
Yeah.
Could happen.
Yeah.
God forbid it has, it does. What's Plan B?
Well, I think as you're part of the team helping me with the cart contract, I'm not in a rush to sign a cart contract for electric carts until we're sure we're gonna have electricity.
Yep.
So that's part of it, but we do feel confident that that we will get the electricity. It's a matter of when, and I have been warned that, you know, when you win battles against Eversource, they can drag their feet, and we've kind of won some battles against them by simplifying the job and getting it back to the original scope. We'll see if they end up dragging their feet on it. We'll see. The town administrator is very involved, and he's offered to get the town attorney involved, which he thinks will be pretty powerful.
Excellent, excellent.
I would think the town would have some leverage in that area.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially,
Hope so.
especially the amount of money that they spend, you know, with them as a client, you know?
Well, yeah, but we have the solar field out there. I saw in the paper where it saved a huge amount of money for the town in terms of
Yeah.
electricity.
sure.
And, you know, it might be ultimately of a strategic plan over time to have our own solar field to
And-
generate that. I don't, you know,
And I saw in the paper this morning, I think, Tom?
Yeah.
They cited Larry Cole's comments there.
yes, exactly.
You know, the town, along with the idea that they're going green, I mean, everything we're doing corresponds to what the town is doing, which is a good thing.
Well, but I didn't even know there was an energy committee until this morning. I mean, maybe the energy committee ought to be thinking in the same way that we are to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but it seems like a natural
Right.
if the town is, and Larry Cole is a very significant guy.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
selectmen.
Is part of our plan still to purchase the solar panels?
It is.
Yes.
My second question would be, when we were putting together the plan for the cot barn, where we identified each one of the important phases of the whole operation, you know, from foundation to building, you know, there were about 10 of them.
Yeah.
And then we had allocated basically our projected budget for each one of those line items. Do we have an accounting of that in terms of, like, so far what we've spent against each one of those?
Yeah, I keep that, I keep a running total of that, and we're well over budget on this first phase of it, which was, we had originally estimated 397,000 for it off the top of my head, and then we took the low bid, which was 550,000, so we were already down 150. With the change orders we've done with Cardosi, we're gonna end up at about 615 to build the building and the foundation. So we'll be down over $200,000 just on that.
Mhm.
We do think that as we've looked at some of the numbers of things we have upcoming, we do think there could be some savings and some stuff that where we may end up in a positive side. The paving, it turns out, the town just entered a new contract. We'll probably come in under our number on that one and a few other areas, but that's one of the reasons we're taking things step by step to really see, get the essentials done first, which is the building built, then electrified, then move on from there.
Could you share those numbers with us?
Yeah,
And looking at our timetable, not just for completion of the building, but I'll admit it, it's personal. I can't wait to see that old barn bulldozed down. Is there any kind of time frame, or generally
yes.
speaking?
So in general, we're aiming to start the landscaping project, the landscaping, which would not go necessarily right away to that, but we're hoping to start that right away. We're aiming for after Columbus Day to do the demolition and leave the area as kind of a T-base, do a T-base over it, and so we can function around it. And then we just spoke with the paving folks in town today. It will be the first paving project of the spring in April.
Perfect, perfect.
So all the curb
That's-
cuts would go in the new curb barn then?
And along with that demolition is the obvious removal and relocation of the gas tank facility
Right.
that Sean is gonna put to use. Will that,
He's gonna
I'm
convert it to
guessing that's
diesel.
gonna happen
Yeah,
simultaneously?
it'll happen simultaneously.
Great, great.
I have a question.
Anything else, Tommy?
Yeah, you know, what about naming the building? We named the range for Charlie Mooney, and Hank named the clubhouse for Ray Jefferson, which we agreed. And it seems like someone said the fellow who donated the land to Granbury would be appropriate to name a building after him. I don't know much more than that, but it sounded to me like that would be a good candidate. There may be others, but it seems like, I mean, I don't know where we are in that. In those other two cases, we controlled that. No one else did, the selectmen, they approved it.
exactly.
So I think that we should think about that. It seems like, and he was a Cape Verdean fellow, I
Yeah.
think, and it acknowledges the role of the Cape Verdeans in this community. I think it would be significant.
I totally agree with you. You know, it's something that we can look at, you know, kind of in a long-range way.
Yeah, it should be on an agenda,
And,
so we, have somebody tell us about the contribution, so if
Yeah.
we, and maybe somebody else has got a name, but it would seem to me that it's local,
it was Mr. Marsland.
significant.
Jimmy Marsland.
It was Jimmy Marsland.
Yeah,
And not to get technical, but, you know, he was the energy behind that. And there were a lot of people involved. That's why your point, as far as the Cape Verdean community at large, a lot of those principals and people that were involved, they were properties that were owned or controlled by those people.
Yeah, I just think it's an appropriate thing for us to deal with, so if,
Good point, Tom.
put it on the agenda,
And we've got,
look at it,
and we've got precedent there.
because we
Yeah,
named it. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly, yeah. Right.
Okay, is there any other business to bring before the committee? Any public comment?
I just have one thing, you know, at some point we ought to, John has done a great job with the strategic plan, and we ought to look at it informally and see, you know, then bring it back here, if there's, because there may be some things that have now developed and we want to do, so,
Yeah.
just a thought.
We can make that a priority, Tom, for our September meeting.
Yeah, September, yep.
Because there were some changes that independently I had discussed with Roman, and it's a good time to put focus
Yeah.
back on that.
Yeah, and the other
So-
thing about the cart barn, I think we should train Clem to drive bulldozers. He could drive, he could do the first bulldozer thing
Love
right
to
in
see
there,
that,
you know?
man.
And
I don't know
se-
if you need a
secondly-
bulldozer.
no,
We might
secondly-
not need a bulldozer.
But there may be,
Really
there
hard.
may be someone, like, for example, if we're gonna name a building for this fellow, maybe someone in his family, that we celebrate them by letting them drive the first Jeep into that new building. Something, you know, just a, it's kind of like a symbolic acknowledgement.
Right.
Of, which, by the way, is very powerful in my mind, the symbolic acknowledgements. Just a thought.
What have we as a
Okay.
group recommended now as far as the wash pad?
That is a good point, John, because since we dialogued, and I think Sean was here for that meeting,
We had
Jim
two-
Skralski was going to get Sean in touch with someone at
UMass.
UMass. And, you know, it raises a good point. There may be great validity to that whole direction, but I haven't heard anything.
Well, it was, the person's name was in that brochure that Kingsbury had given to us,
Yeah,
with the UMass professor or something that was
yeah,
involved.
Jim Skrowski is connecting Sean to, Sean wants to proceed with that organic plan.
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
that Bob brought up. And,
But you haven't heard anything more
no, I
about
haven't heard anything more. Well, under the town administrator's direction, we're, like I said, we're taking things kind of one step at a time, based on the budget realities currently, to make sure the building gets built and functions with the funds available, and then see, you know, take the next steps as there's available. Definitely committed to doing the whole thing, but we need the functioning building first.
Okay, any other business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Non-debatable.
Moved and-
What
okay,
about
all-
what about the restaurant? When is that lease up?
This is his final year.
This is his final year.
Calendar year
December
ending
31.
December?
There's two undefined extension years in the contract, so that's one of the things that'll be negotiated with the town administrator, is that it was a 3-year contract with 2 extension years available at an undefined amount of money.
Do we think he wants to return or not?
Based on what he presented here, John, I think he's very
I
interested.
think definitely, but not at the same deal.
Yeah.
I think he's looking
Yeah.
for some concessions.
He said he's not making any money.
His sales are increasing significantly.
And if
So
you think about it,
If he was to terminate the contract then at the end of the lease, which is December, does he have to give us advance notice prior to that he's gonna be terminating, or?
I don't remember the language in the lease, but
Because I'm just thinking of the process that we have to go through the whole damn thing again to
Yeah.
get somebody else in
it's
here.
brutal.
Right,
And if
right,
you
brutal.
remember, we got kind of sandwiched, John, remember in the last, it ended up where it tipped into, I think we were in May before
Right.
actually the door was open,
Right.
you know?
We're gonna get into negotiate. I think it's safe to say, I mean, after he presented here to the committee, it's safe to say he's pretty committed. He's still purchasing improvements to the building. He said he wants to continue on. There's some things that he wants to negotiate, but
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say he really feels like he built something and the reward is still in front of him. He hasn't turned it into a profit yet, but he sees the profit coming in the upcoming years.
Well, you also talked about Cape Cod's a small place, the word travels fast.
Yeah.
And if Hot Stove can't make it,
Yeah.
who could?
That's a problem.
Who
Right.
could?
Exactly.
But I think he's showing, like, whoever's, Tom, I think he said you had to wait in line on Sunday. He's showing that he's making it. I mean, I think visually people are seeing he's making it, and if this was his first year, he's turned in a profit this year. His first year was a loss, the second year was break even, this year's a profit year for him, so he needs a few more profit years to pay for the investment he made in the place. But I think he sees it.
Well, but see, the obverse of that is, I've been up there when there is absolutely zip, and there's 4 employees. You know,
Yeah.
in other words, he's gotta pay the people for the hours that they put in, but who comes there and who eats is really a risk all the time. Weekends are pretty good in the summer.
Yeah,
but
and
you
then,
get up in other times
well, the other
and
side,
there's
when it's
nothing.
empty, the one other person you see there is him. And I think in the future, 4, 5, 10 years, whatever, he doesn't wanna be the everyday guy there. He wants to
Exactly.
make enough money that he can pay a manager.
Exactly. And he's an entrepreneur. I mean, he's got the artifacts, golf artifacts, tremendous.
Yeah.
there.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Museum.
All right.
Okay,